Welcome back to Fast Jet Performance then. My name is Tim Davies, and who's the doctor they told you to go and see? That's right, Dr. FJP. And I am back in session bringing you some medication as we witness the degradation of this once great nation. If you know anything about diggers, then let me know. I think I'm just going to go and do that thing where you put it over the back and just knock it the hell down. Over the back there, over the back. Just smash it up. Smash it up, smash it up, smash it up. Right, bring it down. If you pull it towards you now, you're probably going to get... That's it, just rip it through, rip it through. Yeah, mad lad. Guys, if you're going to watch one of my videos the entire way through, it probably should be this one. This is so critical. I found this dude on Twitter called Chad Crowley. I'll bring up his page now. And this guy's obviously a turbo legend. He's gone and read a book called Tainter's The Collapse of Complex Societies. Some of you may know about it. I personally don't. I was going to paraphrase this for you, but I thought we'd do something quite interesting today because I'm going to go and smash up stuff on a computer game called Demolition Build 3. This is the playground. This was free. I think it's only $11.99 on Steam anyway. And whilst we do that, we're going to read this guy's essay that he's written about this particular book. It's fascinating. I'm not even joking. Watch this. Share this video. This is going to tell you why things are happening, why mass immigration is happening, why our politicians are idiots. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to jump into my JCB now, and then we're going to smash stuff up as I read you this essay. So yeah, I just boss level destroyed that little building there, but we're going for a bigger building. All right, look at the size of this one. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it down like a dog. And whilst I do that, I'm gonna read out this guy's tweet for you because it's absolutely stunning. So whilst you're thinking about the destruction of this building, think about what's happening with our countries also. Right, I'm in the digger now. Let's let you have the full glory of this then. So let's talk about collapse. Fires rage in Los Angeles and no one can put them out. A clear symbol of a civilization unable to solve even its most basic problems. Joseph A. Tainter's The Collapse of Complex Societies provides a framework to understand why this happens. Civilizational collapse is no relic of the past or merely curiosity for court historians whose interests often veer into the irrelevant and removed from the pressing realities of today. Collapse is a recurring phenomenon, an inevitable stage in the life cycle of societies. As the West faces internal fractures and accelerating decline, it is imperative to understand the forces that have undone great civilizations before us. In The Collapse of Complex Societies, Joseph A. Tainter provides a framework for analysing this decline. As an anthropologist, his approach stands apart from the abstractions of historians. Tainter reveals that complexity, vital for societal advancement, particularly in an increasingly globalized and technologized world, carries with it seeds of its own destruction. This bit is fascinating, guys. Absolutely fascinating. And so what I'll do is I'll just obviously I reckon if I take the legs out here on this side, we're going to be able to drop some of these spans. I wonder with that technique, like moving it like that to smash it. If you're a digger driver, let me know. All right, I don't want to lose where I am here, so I'm going to have to go and quickly get back on and reading this. Societies that grow increasingly complex invest more in solving problems through administrative, technological, and bureaucratic means, yet these solutions yield diminishing returns. Over time, the cost of maintaining the system outweighs its benefits, creating a tipping point, like what just happened to my Nuff building fam, where collapse becomes possible. Where collapse becomes not just possible, but the rational culmination of a managed decline. So basically, we have to manage the decline. We have no other way of thinking about it, guys. There's no other way. Because the decline's happening. We just got to manage it now, because there's nothing else we can really do about it. In the same way that this building is going that way. The West today is approaching this threshold. Institutions designed to safeguard stability and progress have become engines of inefficiency, consuming resources to sustain themselves whilst delivering little value. More like the F-35 project. How expensive was that? But how many aircraft do you actually get for it? More troubling, however, is the ideological rot at their core. Well, the Queen Elizabeth carrier group as well, that can't defend itself. We can't put any ships to sea with the carriers, so we can't really put the ships to sea in a non-permissive environment because the ships will be targeted themselves. Tainter's analysis, whilst I take down this strand here, exposes how societies fail when they lose the ability to reconcile complexity with functionality. And this is one of the most fascinating bits here. But the West's decline is accelerated by its fixation on utopian ideals divorced from reality. Chief among these is the obsession with equality, which manifests itself in policies that undermine competence, cohesion, and trust. And I've spoken about these before, guys. I think we can swing the digger in there and just take out that strand. As I've said, like equity. If you look at the wall behind me here, and you see all these aircraft on the wall, equity would say that everyone can fly these aeroplanes. Not everyone has the opportunity, but everyone can fly them. Now, as we all know, not everyone's going to be able to fly these aeroplanes. Only some people can fly them. You've got to be the right height, the right weight. You've got to be right eyesight, hearing, right education. Obviously, you know, it's one of those things. Give everyone the opportunity to have those things. The opportunity. But you can't give everyone the opportunity to have the correct height, weight, and everything else. Of course, we know that. I'm going to take down these three strands here, these three pillars here, I think, and then we should be able to collapse that middle floor. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Let's see whether I can take that one out, and then I'll see if I can knock out the other two. Modern institutions prioritise demographic representation over merit, subordinating excellence to ideological conformity. Programs like affirmative action and quotas, like the Royal Air Force had, enforce a belief that all outcomes must be levelled regardless of skill or capability. This is equity, of course. The result is a system that sacrifices institutional effectiveness on the altar of symbolic progress. Fields demanding expertise such as medicine, engineering, national defence are increasingly populated by individuals chosen for reasons other than their merit. We saw that in so many different things. I've given you so many examples on this channel, guys, where that's actually happened, where we've had people put in there because of their DEI status or whatever it is. You know, remember when the Air Force was prioritising minorities and women over white men? I've done many films on that. Have a look at the last video. I'll show you up there or something when I finish, all right? And that will tell you some more details about this, hopefully. But let's get back onto it. The erosion of standards then, and this is a standards channel. Let's not forget that, guys. What I do here is about standards, all right? It's about standards that keep you flying these airplanes, standards that keep you fit and healthy, standards that stop you dramatising all the bad stuff that's happening in the world. But the erosion of standards not only weakens critical sectors, but also breeds resentment as citizens see fairness and competence replaced by ideological orthodoxy. Now, fairness, competence, all these things are Christian values. And one of the problems we have, of course, where we allow other nations, I'm going to bring that bit down there. If I bring this whole slab down, some digger driver tell me, should that bring the floor beneath me down, or is that something that you shouldn't allow to happen? I'm just thinking, if I bring that pillar down here, it's going to drop that floor onto that floor. Can you trap a digger? I bet you can trap a digger. You can trap your arm, can't you, in there? That's going to be a really bad thing to do. Just see if I can knock that down by smashing it. I don't know if that's legal, by the way. Now, such policies are not about solving problems, but about enforcing control. Utopian ideals of absolute equality have become tools of an increasingly dysfunctional elite, wielded to maintain their own power while deflecting attention from systemic failures. These initiatives serve as a facade, masking that inability. They mask it, they hide it, so you can't see the real issues anymore. Now, demographic transformation further accelerates collapse, and that's what we're getting with all the importing of many immigrants, aren't we? It was almost 1 million in 2023. So demographic transformation further accelerates collapse, creating divisions, because diversity is not our strength, as I said before. It creates divisions that a complex society cannot sustain. Now, this is so important. I'm going to have to face you here whilst my digger does its work. This is the issue. We've seen this with the grooming gangs, haven't we? We bring in a lot of Pakistanis, but they come from a very backward nation. Maybe they're in the Punjab region, something else. They come in here to a high trust society, and they don't understand it. So for them, having, you know, relationships with young girls is natural, but for us it's not. We don't understand it. It's going to create division. It does create division. So the initiative serves as a facade, as it says here. We've talked about demographic transformation. So unlike historical collapses where population shifts were often imposed largely by external forces, the West demographic replacement is deliberate, an ideological project rooted in utopian fantasies of global equity. We spoke about equity before. I'm just going to try and lift this slab here. If I lift it up and I could drop it. Oh, that's going. Oh, that's going. Can you just smash your thing on it? I'm going to lift it up now. Lift it. Oh, brutal. Let's do it again. Again. I'm an expert at this. If you thought that fast jet mates couldn't do anything, hashtag digger driver extraordinaire. Let's finish this anyway. I don't want this video to be too long, do I? Right, okay. Mass immigration, lauded as an economic and moral imperative beyond reproach, serves as a tool to obscure systematic failures and pacify growing discontent. Now, rather than addressing the festering rot in infrastructure, education, or governance, elites import new populations under the guise of growth. And we've spoken about this, haven't we? We've said what we need to be doing, or what the government thinks it needs to be doing, is increasing the gross domestic product. And how does it do that? It brings people in. It's not the GDP per capita, it's just the GDP. So this transformation fractures the cultural and ethnic unity that once underpinned Western nations, replacing shared identity with competing allegiances. Instead of cohesive societies, we witness the rise of competing enclaves, driven by the BIPOC identity politics, which is American for Black, Indigenous, people of colour, fracturing unity as they battle for resources and power. Now, this is the last bit, and then I think we're going to finish. What I'm going to do here is see if I can take out this top bit and see if I can collapse the roof entirety on that. Oh yeah, because it lifts my digger up. You've got to be careful. If you push it there, bang, push it on the wall. I'm going to have to play this game for real. We have to get multiplayer on this, get my school involved in this one, I think. We'll take this building down in no time. So I wonder if I can just sort of knock it. If I just bite that there. I'm just going to try and bite that and just bring that one down. Go in now, and then rotate it, go in, and we're just going to drag that whole slab down. Alright, cool. Drag the whole slab down. Drag it down. Bite it. There we go. Nom 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 nom. Yes. 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 Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Who's the hero? It's me. Awesome. So many digger drivers are going to tell me that was completely the wrong way of doing that now. The demographic shift is not incidental. It is weaponized. By replacing founding populations, elites create a population easier to control. One less connected to the traditions, history and identity of the nations they inhabit. This is so important as well. I've talked about this before. This strategy ensures that the institutions of power remain insulated from dissent, as the newly imported underclass relies on those same elites for survival. It is a cynical manipulation that trades long-term stability for short-term dominance, and it's what the Democrats did in America by opening the border to bring all the Mexicans across that are more likely to vote for the people that are giving them handouts, and why we give so many people that are coming into the UK, so many immigrants in the UK, why we're giving these people all these handouts as well, all these benefits, all these houses. They're going to be dependent on the state. They're going to be dependent on the state, and that's what I was saying before. So we've created a population easier to control, basically, and obviously the population we're bringing in and growing, they're less connected to traditions, history and identity of the nations because they have no skin in the game. And I think if you look at people like Kemi Badenoch and people like this, of course, you have to ask yourself, she was a Nigerian, well, she was born here, she's what's called an anchor babe, she's born here by her mum, who then left soon after back to Nigeria, so she's got a foot in the country. Then she puts her through an American education, and then of course she comes back, doesn't she? And then when you ask Kemi where she feels more related to, she says to the Yoruba tribe in northern Nigeria, I believe it is, she feels more aligned with the Nigerians than she does with the British people. And there's a danger there, isn't there? Such as Rishi Sunak, he may be born in Southampton, but of course now he's gone to America, he's married an Indian woman. How connected to the British people are these people if they're not born here, if they're not ancestrally Anglo-Saxon, is all I'll say. Tainter's insight that collapse unfolds as a slow unravelling rather than a sudden event is painfully relevant. The West's decline is marked by missed opportunities for reform, an unwillingness to address the structural contradictions tearing it apart. Leaders blind themselves with ideological dogmas, pouring resources into symbolic gestures while neglecting the decay of physical infrastructure, economic stability and social trust. Crumbling roads, failing schools and soaring debt are treated as secondary concerns to the pursuit of utopian ideals. Instead of confronting these failures, Western elites double down on globalist ambitions, remaking the world in their image through international economic policies, climate agendas and mass migration. These distractions allow them to avoid responsibility for internal decay, whilst perpetuating the illusion of progress. I mean, it's not just this building we need to smash up, is it really? It's not really, is it? We need to do something much better. This is absolutely ridiculous. Let's carry on reading this whilst I tear this thing down. Yet this house of cards cannot hold. As systems grow more unwieldy and populations more divided, the West's ability to withstand external shocks or internal crises diminish. Tainter's warning is clear. Societies that refuse to adapt to reality are doomed to collapse under the weight of their own contradiction. This is the last one now. History offers no guarantees, only lessons. Let me go over here. The West trajectory mirrors the failures of past civilizations, but its ideological rigidity and demographic engineering makes its decline uniquely self-inflicted. Tainter's work is not merely a study of the past, but a mirror for our present condition, a reminder that complexity, unchecked by reality, leads inevitably to destruction. And the last bit here, as I try and take down this side of the building, says survival demands rejecting the utopian fantasies of universal equality and globalism that have hollowed out the West's foundations. It requires a return to the enduring truths of identity, merit, and the natural order, principles that once defined the strength of Western civilization. Without this course correction, the West is destined to join the annals of civilizations that fell, not to external enemies, but to our own hubristic desire to ignore reality. And one of the things I would say here, guys, and as I said, it's a fantastic essay. He does put a little bit of an addendum on there where he just says the essay was an exploration by Joseph Tainter, the collapse of societies, so the collapse of complex societies. And he just talks a little bit about stuff he does. He talks about these books he doesn't necessarily agree with, but yeah, so that's brilliant. And that guy is called Chad Crowley on Twitter at @CCrowley100. Look, I think he makes some really valid points here. And to be fair, this is a great game, by the way. Go and smash that up. My wife's going to love this. I think the main thing really that we need to take away from that is we're in such deep trouble that our government has no option but to continue to do what they're doing, because they have to show some kind of progress. They have to show, look what we're doing for the net zero, look what we're doing for the climate change. So we think something's happening, even though we know the potholes are worse. We know that people not getting paid what they should be getting paid. They can't afford to go and buy the car they was going to go and buy. They can't afford to feed their kids. All right, so we know that's the case. Look, guys, I hope this is all right. I'm going to stop this now. I really appreciate you sort of staying with me there. I think this is quite a long video. It is a long video. I hate to say it. I know people have asked for longer content. I think we're going to be around about 20 something minutes here, aren't we? But I really do appreciate you watching something this lengthy. I'll just quickly show you this guy again, Chad Crowley on Twitter at @CCrowley100. If you want to go and have a look at this guy, tell him I sent you, you know what I mean? But obviously a very, very knowledgeable chap that's gone and read this book, and he's obviously gone and done a great job at summarizing it. And he actually shows us a little bit here. I don't think I'll try and show you, of the helicopter coming through and dropping water in the wrong place. And of course, this is not the pilot's fault. We're expecting a lot of wind to blow onto that. He uses that as an example of a failing society. He actually says at the bottom here, pilot in the first tweet, some are fixated on the helicopter footage, insisting the pilot isn't to blame, but this entirely misses the point. The video wasn't about the pilot. It was a visual shorthand necessary on a platform like X to draw attention. It represents systemic failure, decades in the making, failure rooted in decayed leadership, crumbling infrastructure, and misplaced priorities. So whether the pilot was doing his best with the broken system or as a product of DEI-driven hiring is ultimately irrelevant. The clip serves as a visceral reminder of what happens when a society's capacity to maintain basic functionality erodes. It's not about the individual's actions, but the larger decay, blah, 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 blah. And he's absolutely right. I will say that it's an intentional decline. And when I say it's an intentional decline, what I mean is there's no other way it can happen now. It has to decline because they've just brought in such a complex system, such a carefully balanced, high-trust environment that we live in, especially in the UK and in the West, that when you have to maintain this economic growth and you bring in all these immigrants that don't understand this at all, the functionality in order to keep it going is going to be missing and the whole thing collapses. Look, I hope this makes some sense. Hit the comments. I really appreciate it. And if you are interested in that diversity problem, there's videos on my channel. I will leave the video up here, though, of something that's relevant to you. And I think if you are interested in that video, then you want to click on it and watch that, maybe even share this kind of content, there probably is a chance we can get the society back. Personally, I don't think there is, but I do appreciate it. And if I'm not saying subscribe, genuinely I'm not saying, because I don't subscribe to everything either. The subscriptions are like a vanity metric for me. It keeps me doing this. I really appreciate you guys giving me like $2.99 in the channel, whatever, because that helps as well. It just, when I speak to my wife and I say, hey, look, I've got 130,000 subscribers, she sees this as more of a valid thing I'm doing now, because you guys are affirming that what I'm saying has some sort of connection with you. And that's great. It means I don't get the beak in the neck, you know what I mean, from the missus downstairs. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, guys, I really appreciate it. Hopefully talk soon. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.